From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt. Our colleague Noel is on an international adventure, a man of mystery, but he will be returning shortly.
They call me Ben. We're joined as always with our super producer, Dylan, the Tennessee pal Fagan. Most importantly, you are you are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. No, I'm doing live echoes here, Matt. It's our listener mail program. If you are tuning in the evening it publishes, then let us welcome you to, oh my gosh, October 2nd? Matt, that's true. October 2nd.
Well, it will be when your ears can hear that it's October 2nd, but
when it's publishing, we're recording on the 29th of September.
Our faces are still in September.
Yes, our faces are still in September. But what is time? What happens after humans? That's an episode we cannot wait to explore together.
Well, we're going to explore it no matter what, when we live it. But, it'll be fun to talk about it.
But will humans be living it if it's after humans?
Well, we're going to live the part where right up until,
everybody, the world is ending for someone every day, right? And it's continuing. It reminds me of that W.H. Auden poem about the old masters.
Yeah, and we've got like 10 years max left. So sorry, everybody.
So?
Yep.
Nah.
Yep.
I'm a fan of man. Kevin, I think something will soldier on, but I have always been accused of optimism. We're going to hear some pretty cool stuff. I think we're excited. Matt, why don't we flip it a little bit? Do you want to have us pause for a word from our sponsors and then maybe get to a voicemail?
That would be wonderful. And we've returned, and this is just a quick check with our Tennessee pal. Are there any rutabagas on the menu today?
Spring has come to Scotland, and that means one thing. The Nessies are swimming through the waters of Loch Ness with their babies. These cryptid mothers are trying to feed their hungry newborns, and that means getting closer to the shoreline. Although Nessies are aquatic animals, they're also herbivores and spend much of their time searching for suitable food on the nearby land, using their long necks to survey the ground from the water. It looks like this mother has found something worth investigating. She pulls and chews, and yes, Nessie has found sustenance for her young. She has dug up a rutabaga.
Love it. Thank you, Werner Herzog.
How is that music so perfect for that thing? Like,
Dylan's a phenomenal musician. Dylan personally knows Donnie LaBoy.
Okay, that's it. That was beautiful. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dylan.
Well, let's stay on the rutabaga train for a moment and hear a message from Proud. We've heard from Proud before. He told us some family stories about the awesome things his family is up to. We gave him a shout out. Now Proud is calling back with some more adventures.
Hello, gentlemen. I've contacted you before under the name Proud. I spent a long weekend indoor fair state, only I was in Savannah, and it's beautiful. We went to a Gray Face Museum, this true crime museum, and we also went to Mrs. Wilkes' dining room, which is a restaurant, and we waited outside for over an hour to get in, and there's no menu. They just serve you food, and the food was amazing if you ever go over there. And one of the dishes that I was served that I'd never had before was rutabagas. Never had a rutabaga before. Did not recognize the dish. I had to pull server aside and ask her what it was. And it was delicious. I don't know how they cooked it, I imagine just boiled in some seasoning, but it was amazing. And they made me think of you guys. So, yeah, long-time listener, and keep up the good work. Love you guys. Bye.
Ah, Proud. Hanging out in Savannah. Ben, you've spent some time in Savannah. Have you ever visited the Wilkes house, you or Dylan?
I'm aware of it for sure, but I haven't been there. Proud, thank you so much for reaching out. Savannah is a fascinating town. So pass it to you, Dylan. Have you visited this Wilkes place?
I haven't, but I've been to the Graveface Museum. One of my best friends used to work there.
Shout out Ian, and the owner's name is Ryan Graveface.
What?
Shout out to Ryan.
Ryan
That's
Graveface?
his name. That's the owner's name, Ryan Graveface. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Holy mackerel. Okay. So, let's start there then, Dylan. Tell us about that place, because I've never been there. I don't even know what it is.
It's like an oddities museum. So Graveface is also a record label, and they've reprinted like the Unsolved Mystery soundtrack and stuff like that. So they do a lot of spooky stuff. But their owner also has a lot of John Wayne Gacy's paintings. There's a lot of crazy stuff there.
Yeah, I've seen this. I did not know the proprietor's name, but I've encountered that museum as well. Folks, we are huge fans of very specific museums as well as reference works. And do check out Proud. I think if you haven't heard it yet, I think you will. Maybe enjoy is not the right word, but I think you will be fascinated with our earlier episode on the dilemmas of serial killer memorabilia. That was a dark one, but an important one.
Yeah. It's weird to have that kind of collection, but I suppose people would want to go in and check it out. I think curiosity might catch me if I walked past it and I found out it was in there, which I'm not particularly proud about, maybe, but that's okay. That's okay. I would be interested for sure in the Wilkes house, guys. This was a boarding house in historic downtown Savannah that got converted into a family-style dining situation where you basically wait for a table for a long time, at least according to Proud and everything else I'm seeing online. Then you go inside and you get served whatever they're cooking.
Right. Yeah. It's like going to a fancy sushi restaurant in that you don't get a menu. You get what they decide to give you. Right.
Oh,
and
yes.
then you get a bill at the end. And that's an interesting approach. And I remember hearing about it from some friends who went to Savannah College of Art and Design, or SCAD, as we call it in this part of the world. And it's a local legend. And honestly, Proud, you're very fortunate to have been able to get in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's definitely one of those things. If you're not on a list somewhere, you're just going to hang for a while. Hopefully they've updated with some kind of, those new things you can get where you like get put on a list and then you'll get a text like, hey, it's coming up 5 minutes. So you can at least walk away from the restaurant for a bit and check out the rest of historic downtown Savannah, which we're not sponsored by.
Yeah.
But knowing that Proud got to have his first Rutabaga, come on. That's the best. It even says on their website, on their menu, cabbage, snap peas, mac and cheese, butter beans, black-eyed peas, and rutabagas. Boom. All kinds of good stuff there. Well, that was very exciting to hear. We hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Savannah, and anybody else who wants to hang out in Georgia, that's a great place to check out if you're not heading to downtown Atlanta, because, we've, of course, got great things here. Again, not sponsored by the city of Atlanta or Savannah.
Despite ongoing conversations. Yeah. We're
trying real hard.
We are proudly sponsored by several places. They are, when we say sponsored in that sense, what we mean is they shout us out occasionally.
Like the local?
The one of the best. We got in trouble with the local because we blew up the spot on the chicken wings as the city continues to grow. But I think one thing you need to know about Savannah, fellow travelers, is that it is a complex city that carries a great deal of historical baggage. some for
Yes.
good and some for ill. I remember one quick anecdote about Savannah. I traveled down there because I wanted to be closer to the ocean while I was doing this writing project. And I was doing the thing where, this will be familiar to a lot of us, where you lock yourself in an unfamiliar room and you kind of play submarine. You don't go outside until you've done your thing. And when I got there, folks, there was a strange energy in the air over on River Street, which is like the tourist drag line. And I realized that everybody was planning in advance for St. Paddy's Day, for the weekend where they would celebrate that day, which I wasn't familiar with it being a huge thing in the United States, but people assumed, probably because of the way I look, that I was so into St. Paddy's Day, so Irish or so Catholic, that I was getting there a week ahead. And I remember just I'm being diplomatic here. I remember the boisterous energy that drove me to the edge of the ocean to just sit there and wait till dawn, because I did not want to go back into the city late at night. It was too raucous. People were partying so hard. So, look, St. Paddy's Day in Savannah is like South by Southwest in Austin. Just be careful. Keep your wits about you.
That's right. While you're headed over to Poe's Tavern, which is an Edgar Allan Poe themed tavern, which, come on, you gotta visit that.
I went there. I liked it. Yeah.
Of course. And also the Pirate's House. That's an old standby. It's a pirate's house. It's historic. Why not? Enjoy.
Yeah, see if you can find the nuclear bomb still languishing off the coast.
It's over there somewhere. Just hanging out down there under the waves. Yikes. All right, well, with that, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors with more messages from you.
And we have returned. This is a great one. We go through our social media correspondence, our voicemails, we go through our emails, and these things inspire episodes in the future, which is why our listener mail segment is so important to us. It's the best part of the show. It's you on the air. And with that, we have a word from SJ and Matt Dillon. I think you guys will find this pretty interesting. It's a response to our recent episode on the Mickelson Safeguard Complex, aka a super weird Cold War pyramid with its head lopped off. Here we go. Hey fellas, feel free to use this on air if you please. You may refer to me as Delusionaut. Love it, SJ. You gave us the names Delusionaut and SJ, and Matt, I kind of like Delusionaut.
Delusionaut is wonderful because it feels as though you were out there swimming in the delusion, right? In some kind of way, you're out there exploring the delusion itself.
You may refer to me as Delusionaut. We're doing that because in parentheses, Delusionaut, you put insert supervillain chuckle, and we hope we made you proud.
Whoa.
Do you have a good supervillain chuckle?
I don't know that I do. I could try. Maybe I'll try later on randomly, and we'll see if it works.
We've got a pretty good track record on a villainous Aneb chuckle, right? The naughty one.
The Aneb, yeah.
So you continue, Delusionaut, and you say, I'm listening to your episode on the Mickelson Safeguard Complex. Talk of space race and weapon supremacy and nukes got me thinking. A question materialized. What if a nation state created a kind of weapon whose use could be as devastating as a nuclear explosion eventually, but something that could also be quickly undone. The idea would be to gain control of the world's access to sunlight. Dylan, beep me in the delusionist here. Yes, supervillain. Hear me out. An editorial note, Matt, I know you're going to love this because this is something I swear we have talked about in the past, but I didn't hunt the episode down. Delusionaut continues, you build a massive disk in space between the sun and Earth. Build the disk vertically, so when seen from the ground, it would appear as a line in the sky, if visible at all. To deploy, one would geosynchronously anchor the disk above the desired target and turn it sideways. This would cast your target into darkness that ends when you decide to turn the sun back on, while not as immediate as a nuke. It would devastate any place on the planet. It could also be easily undone once our demands have been met, and there's no radioactive fallout. Also, a fan of rods from God. Who needs explosives when you've got mass and unhinged momentum? Just a weird idea. Cheers, guys. Call me SJ. We talked about didn't we talk about this? The plan to block the sun?
Oh yeah, the actual government approved and sponsored plans to develop a system of blotting out the sun with cloud formations, but high above cloud formations similar to those that would be generated in nuclear fallout. So yeah, I guess we could do it with clouds, or in this case, a massive disk, which I'm kind of about. Like, could you use that massive disk to slow down warming of certain places and areas? Maybe stop giant glaciers from melting?
Sure, that would be cool. This is also interesting to us, Delusionaut, excellent name, because there has been a lot of research over time into concepts like we're describing. You know, for a lot of folks, the concept was first encountered watching the original Matrix, right? Spoilers for that one. There's a little bit of talk about sunshine and blocking it. Which is interesting
because you don't actually get the full story of it unless you go to the Animatrix and watch those.
Right.
First couple of short films on that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they just kind of mention it like, oh, well, they decided to blot out the sky.
Spoilers. Yeah. That's, look, there's a lot of Gnosticism and inquiries into the nature of reality for this. But what we need to establish here, Delusionaut, is that the concept that you're describing is a Dr. Doom level version of what is called a sun shield or space sun shade. In the way it was originally proposed by a physicist named Hermann Oberth, way back in the day, is a protective measure, right? Similar to what we're referencing with the slowing of glacial melts and the slowing of global warming. The space sunshade is the idea, it's like a bootleg Dyson sphere kind of idea. It's just one facet of a Dyson sphere that would go between Earth and the sun and prevent some of that tasty CME mixtape radiation kind of stuff from hitting Earth, messing with the magnetosphere, messing with the typical cyclical passage of the seasons. Space mirrors under this concept would orbit around the Earth with a diameter of 100 to 300 kilometers, as proposed by this guy Oberth. And in this, despite being phrased as a protective measure, in this, our physicist Hermann clearly describes the idea of focusing sunlight on some regions of the surface and then deflecting it into space, but also having the ability to remove sunlight from certain parts of the Earth.
Well, yeah, I wonder how much energy you could capture with it as well if you could find a way to transfer said energy. So you could do all the things at once. It's a multi-tool. space solar energy capture and deflection.
Yeah. And here's why I don't completely buy the protective spin on Oberth's sunshade idea. He's kind of a supervillain himself, Matt.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm. The devil, you say? He's kind of a paperclip guy, or he would have been if the timing was just a little bit different. You see, he was Austro-Hungarian. He was a big fan of Nazi Germany to the point where he got the War Merit Cross in 1943. His most notable student is returning character on the show, Werner von Braun.
Oh.
He's a rocket boy. Yeah.
Well, it would make sense if you got to be a rocket person if you're imagining sending something that massive or, deploying something that massive in space.
Mm.
Wow. It always reminds me of the space elevator concept. You remember when Marshall Brain would talk about that a lot?
Yeah.
Space elevator.
And look, it takes a lot of rocket men to encourage, empower the exploration into the stars. Science, obviously, technology at least, does not possess its own moral compass. But this is a fascinating character because he started building model rockets when he was 14. And this was way before it was easy to build them, with a kit you would get at a museum gift shop or online. All to say, like the space elevator, and I enjoy that comparison, the sun shield is possible. The problem with the sun shield and the problem with the space elevator is that it would require human civilization to spend a vast amount of time and resources to get something that probably wouldn't work all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Would you take a space elevator?
I think I would.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would. And a space elevator is a way to actually start some kind of capitalist movement where you could safely send up tourists and it wouldn't cost that much money. Once the space elevator is
built,
working, and you could send up massive equipment that could then be launched out to other places. You'd have a whole other separate section of the space elevator that's just for the folks who have $300,000, just lying around so you can go up into space. Right.
For a second. And but maybe there's a hotel at the top.
That's what I'm saying. If you got a space elevator, then hang out as much as you want.
And if you evolve past a capitalistic society, then the real bonus points for the space elevator would be removing most of the expensive obstacles to escaping Earth's orbit, right? You can solve for the problem of the weight. The idea of the sunshade, whether supervillain or protective, it's a pickle. It's a real bag of badgers because the question becomes, will civilization decide on such an enormous, unorthodox investment in a point of time where it is still useful? Or will it be something where everything has gone sideways and pear-shaped and Savannah bananas, and now you have to try to figure out some sort of mediating thing?
Yeah, that's one of the big questions that we've been thinking about for the episode we talked about, what comes after humans. Just can a major, primarily capitalism-driven society world, can it end in a happy way? Like, can you stop that? Can you get past it and be like, oh, we don't need to do this anymore? Is there any scenario where that actually happens? Or is it only like full collapse, war, most of humanity ending situation before that thing gives up?
Right. Yeah. Will it be reactive innovation or will it be proactive innovation? And Matt and I have not talked about this on air yet, folks. We're very excited for this one. As you can tell, one question that keeps coming to mind, it reminds me of the conversation between Ricky Gervais and Stephen Colbert when Ricky was asking about textbooks versus religious text, going somewhere with this. And he said, ultimately, anything that comes after humans, if it progresses to a certain threshold of science and intelligence, it will write something like a math textbook, right? It'll create some understanding or compendium of the rules of reality as encountered by life forms on Earth. Will that civilization rewrite word for word something, a religious text? Will there be some sacrosanct discovery that remains constant? And that's kind of the question when we're talking about capitalism. Is capitalism an inevitable economic truth, or is it more like a religion? My thoughts on this are on record, but I think it's a fair question.
Yeah. It's a great question. What do you think about that? We'll tell you how to write to us, to call us and all that good stuff at the end of this episode. But that's a big question.
Yeah, and it comes into play in our upcoming episode. We don't want to tease it too hard because we haven't made it yet. But do check out our earlier episode. It's something like, is economy a religion? And we have an open call standing now for anybody who wants to prove to us in good faith that that is not the case. Please listen to the episode first, because we've had some great conversations, and the question still stands. No one has disproved it. What do you think, Matt? Should we move on to another voicemail? Do we want to get into some Nasarema stuff? Where do we want to head?
That sounds fun. What is this? Nasarema stuff.
All right. Folks, peek behind the curtain. Our pal Delusionaut is different from our pal SJ. We accidentally shared various monikers amidst our fellow conspiracy realists. We hope that's okay. We're going to call you SJ Prime. There we go. That's our fix for this one. Call me SJ. All right, SJ Prime. This story, says SJ Prime, is included in a collection titled A Stress Analysis of a Strapless Evening Gown, Essays for a Scientific Age, first published in 1963. SJ Prime says most of the content is from 1956 to 1963, but some are as early as 1930. If you can find a copy of this, it's worth adding to your collection. And then SJ Prime links us to a fantastic PDF, which has the entire 1963 edition on it. And SJ Prime says this is a collection of odd scientific and engineering humor. I'm attaching a copy of the table of contents and the publication information. Among my favorites are Lester Del Rey's version of the 23rd Psalm and Hiawatha's Lipid. Some of them are humor through and through, and others are complex setups for very bad jokes. So before we get to the next part of this, have any of us heard of this book before?
No, I've never heard of this.
This one was new to me as well, and it's pretty cool if you're into the same kind of nerdy stuff that we are. We have a cool returning character, Body Ritual Among the Nasarema by Horace Minor. Is one of the first essays here. We have titles like Postal Input Buffer Device, The Bridge of San Luis Rey, Cosmic Gall, The Abominable Snowman, Psychoanalysis of U.S. Missile Failures, and a couple that I've never heard of, Saga of a New Hormone, Pennyweisel, Univac to Univac by Louis B. Solomon. maybe we pause here just for anybody who missed that previous conversation given to us by Ozwoman. Matt, can you explain the Nosarama in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, it's a satirical look at the United States of America at a particular time in its history. Well, I guess it is now, in all time in the U.S. history, about our culture's collective obsession with how we look, right? And our outward appearance. And the language used in it is meant to other the United States and its society by using the language that's often used in anthropology, where you're speaking about, let's say, a newly discovered tribe or something in a part of the world where there is a newly discovered indigenous people, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And this also speaks to, Dylan, your phenomenal Rutabaga documentary, which hopefully is available on Netflix. Here's one thing we'll read from this book, which you should check out, folks. It is the 23rd Psalm, Modern Versions. Matt, I believe that you and our fellow conspiracy realists will enjoy this one. The Lord is my external, internal, integrative mechanism. I shall not be deprived of gratification for my viscerogenic hungers or my need dispositions. He motivates me to orient myself toward a non-social object with effective significance. He positions me in a non-decisional situation. He maximizes my adjustment. Although I entertain masochistic and self-destructive id impulses, I will maintain contact with reality, for my superego is dominant. His analysis and tranquilizers, they comfort me. He assists in the resolution of my internal conflicts, despite my Oedipal problems and psychopathic compulsions. He promotes my in-group identification. My personality is totally integrated. Surely, my prestige and status shall be enhanced as a direct function of time, and I shall remain sociologically, psychologically, and economically secure forever. That's weird. They're giving Dune vibes, you know?
Oh, there's some serious Doom vibes. SJ gave us a little screenshot of another one.
Mm-hmm.
It says it's labeled here as part 2 from Lester Del Rey. It also has some serious Doom vibes, more about the bomb and nuclear energies. Surely strontium and fallout shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the AEC, but hardly forever.
This is wild. This is going to be my entire night, actually. I'm going to end up just reading this book. Thank you so much, man, for recommending this to us, SJ Prime. We love, again, specific reference works. We love very weird museums. We love hearing from you. Before we wrap this part, there's something very important that SJ Prime has asked us. It's the following. It's going to take all three of us, gentlemen. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. SJ Prime, you end by saying, please give me a fact about rutabagas and how they relate to badgers. Excellent. Excellent.
We got to plug that into Chat GPT real quick.
Jeez.
Hey.
Which stands for Chat Go Badger Time. Right. Okay. Wait, did we get an R in there? Okay. All right. So here's the truth. This is the stuff they don't want you to know, SJ Prime. The badger and the rutabaga have long been involved in a complex symbiotic relationship. At times, one is predator. At times, one is prey. Depending upon the season of the year, especially in the northern climes, the rutabaga may encounter its cyclical, weather-driven predatory phase, at which point the hunter becomes the hunted. Now, it is true that all other times of the year, the badger, being an omnivorous, diggy type of dude, the badger will prey upon the rutabaga, except, as you know, Matt, when the weather turns, right? When winter comes and the rutabagas hunger.
Did you know, guys, in August 21st to the 24th this past year, there was a Rutabaga festival in Wisconsin.
Yes, I did. We got a voicemail about it.
We did, and we talked about it?
We didn't talk about it, but yes, we did get
okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Well, okay. There you go.
All I'm saying is everybody look up the Great Badger Rutabaga War of 1893. It's harrowing.
Yeah, it's the thing your textbooks don't want you to know. A lot of good rutabagas died. A lot of badgers gave their lives. Dylan, could you tell us a little bit more about the war?
Just never enter a land war with a rutabaga. That's all I'm going to say.
There we go. And I shouldn't be laughing. It's just a very uncomfortable part of hidden history.
If you don't laugh, you cry.
If you don't laugh, you cry, especially after you read that. You can see why they pulled it from the textbooks. No one fact check us. We're going to pause for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with more messages from you.
And we've returned, and we're jumping back to the phone lines to hear a message from One-Eyed Cyclops warning everybody. This one is pretty serious, very interesting. Lots to unpack, perhaps too much. No, I know for sure too much to unpack in this episode. It has to do with what's going on in Nepal, and we've, I think, brought it up once, a little bit, mentioned it, but we haven't really talked about any of it in depth, and One-Eyed Cyclops is very interested. So let's hear what they have to say.
Hello to my favorite three musketeers. If you so choose, you can call me the One-Eyed Cyclops. And hi from Texas. I know you guys know about what's going on in Nepal because you're too hip not to know, but I personally believe that it deserves a full episode. Gen Z not only overthrew the prime minister and burned the embassy down, but they also voted in a new prime minister via Discord. You've got to be kidding me. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So anyways, I hope I'm not the only person asking for this because I really think that it deserves coverage and I think you guys would do the very best. So anyways, thanks for everything that you do. I've really enjoyed listening to your episodes over the past 8 years now. I don't think there's anything in your catalog that I haven't listened to, and I'm really hoping to add this one to the list. All right. Yeah, have a good one.
Here we go.
Thank you. Yeah, we did mention this. I can't remember if we're talking about it on this show or a different show, but everything you have said is absolutely true, and I agree with you. I think this could be a full episode. It shows us how the mechanisms of government and governance are changing.
Yeah, in how control mechanisms are being put in place in an attempt to make sure uprisings can't come from a virtual space, from the internet, from the cyberspace, where especially young people who are fed up with things like overt corruption that's just in everybody's face now in a lot of parts of the world, where the younger generation has means to communicate about those things and organize. And then in the case of Nepal, stand up and begin mass protests when the government steps forward and says, hey, WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, X, all the things that you guys use to communicate as younger folks, we're going to ban all of those. So you cannot have a chance, or at least we're hoping to lessen the chance that you guys can revolt against us, we, the older folks in power.
Yeah, it was less than 48 hours for the protesters to force the overthrow of the government, as we had described earlier. And it is, as you noted, anti-corruption protesting, an attempt to breach the walls of Parliament. This led to a lot of chaos. We're talking looting, buildings being torched, politicians attacked in their home. I think we've all seen the footage of the guy and his family escaping via helicopter.
Yeah.
Do check that out if you haven't seen it yet, folks.
Yeah, and it led to 19 human beings being killed by the police response, the deadly force that was used. Hundreds of people injured by that same, response.
More than 70 people killed, according to the spokesperson for the Nepal police.
70 people killed.
Yeah, in total. So counting, police, authoritarian forces, and protesters and innocent people. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So sorry about that. I've got the number I'm looking at here is 19, but that was from September 9th when it initially went off and the prime minister quit after all of this stuff. And it was 26 social media apps that got banned. And then they decided to roll back that ban after all of this stuff began going down. It's an intense situation that occurred. There's an Al Jazeera article about one of the, I guess, leaders of the group that stood up and said no and protested, a man named Sudan Gurung, Sudangurung. And this article is about how he will be stepping up to run in the March polls, trying to form a new, quote, youth-led people's government, which, is really great. I worry often that there's no way around some of the corruption that occurs once you reach those levels of power and governance within, any system. I really hope that maybe there is a world in which a younger generation can come through and just discard some of that stuff. But it's a tough uphill battle, right? Because
of course
there are powers that need that corruption to exist.
Yeah, and there are, especially in the case of Nepal, and as we're about to see in Madagascar, there are international or transnational forces, state-supported and private and proxy, that have a vested interest in profiting from a system as it stands. So what will often happen is you will lead a change, right? You'll lead a mass movement, and then you'll be ushered into a back room with very powerful people who say, look, we didn't like Sharma Oli that much ourselves. He did the following things for us, and if you do those things, then you can do as you wish. Those conversations happen in a very frighteningly civil and friendly way.
Yeah. Sharma Oli, the former prime minister who stepped down.
Right. Yeah, but vows not to flee, as of today, vows not to flee amid the political turmoil. He has made public statements where he said the current government is groundless and they're trying to strip him of his security and his official privileges. This is a full episode because, of course, we want to look deeper into the motivations of the revolution. We would want to look into, the typical due diligence of possible funding or hidden hands. Yeah, I think we should absolutely cover this, especially as it continues to develop. I do want to point out that the reason we're referencing Madagascar here as well, One-Eyed Cyclops, is that just 10 minutes ago, as we're recording this on September 29th, Reuters has reported that thousands of people in Madagascar are rallying against water and power outages, and police are clashing with them in a kinetic fashion. So there may be a pattern at play here because Reuters is reporting that the protests in Madagascar are directly inspired by the Gen Z protests, not only in Nepal, but in Kenya as well.
Wow. And I have a feeling that very specific type of protest will be coming to a lot of other places very soon, especially the U.S., as these new data centers are being built. And there are towns where the water and electricity is going to be usurped for all the folks living there by the data centers, right? By all the water being pulled from the aquifers, all the power that will now have to be generated by the brand new nuclear power plants that are going to be built, and the hundreds of billions of dollars that are being pushed into this AI behemoth thing that's, in the mind's eye of all these billionaires. I was reading this piece about a giant tech corporation out in Europe and the CEO coming forward and just talking about how brutal the layoffs are going to be because he can do so much, the corporation, which requires the growth, which requires the money, which requires all that stuff, it doesn't need humans to function anymore. So it will just be this, you know, in my mind, this almost unstoppable monster, and this set or this group of kaiju that we're creating in these data centers. It's really creepy to me, and we're going to have to protest against them at some point.
Right. Or automate the protest and have the bots protest themselves. Classic dead internet theory. I think this is a universal concern for anybody outside of the C-suite, to be quite honest. There has been, as with any new emergent technology, there's been a lot of hype, right? There have been many large claims that have yet to be supported. And we're already seeing a bit of a fatigue on the part of the humans. And we're seeing deep concern about the relevancy of the human experiment going forward as this technology evolves. You know, what happens when you, as a policymaker, let's say you're still human, you're not the Albanian AI policy maker. Let's say you're still human, you make the laws, and you have to make a decision about where the water goes. This is something we didn't predict in our previous series on the water wars, which otherwise aged terrifyingly well. I don't know.
There's still corporations, right? Buying up the land that have the aquifers and all that stuff.
Sure.
And then using it for their own needs. It's just, we had no concept of how much water would be necessary for this new kind of thing. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, nailed it. We also have, as a quick palate cleanser, we also have to shout out someone who, I can't remember whether you've called in or whether you wrote to us directly, but asked us about the phrase boffin, B-O-F-F-I-N. So boffin is just British slang for a smart person or a scientist.
Yes.
Yeah, just we're throwing that one out there because I realize sometimes, especially when we're cooking with gas, we're just throwing things out. We're not explaining them. So boffin just means nerd. And we're big fans of nerds.
Yes, that was ignorant hippopotamus.
Ignorant hippopotamus. Yeah, and you freestyled that name. Well done, dude. Yes, boffin. It's a real word. It's British slang. We're not British, but we love it. And so with this, we are going to call it a day, call it an evening, wherever you find yourself in this wide old world of ours. We've got so much more to get to. We got an excellent correspondence regarding asking professors for free copies of their work. We'll get to that next week in our next listener mail. We have some puns we can't wait to share with you. We will always have some rutabagas as long as the legendary Tennessee pal Dylan keeps messing with us. Thank you as always, super producer Dylan. Thank you folks for tuning in. Thank you, of course, to SJ, the Delusionaut, SJ Prime. Thank you to Proud, One-Eyed Cyclops, Devious Rex, everybody who took the time to hang out with us this week. We'd love for you to be part of the show. You can find us online, YouTube, various social media apps. You can find us. You'll do some digging. Rutabaga style, Bag of Badgers style, and we'll be there. Hey, Matt, I heard people can also call us on the telephone.
Yes, our phone number is 1-833-STDWYTK. When you call in, you've got 3 minutes. Give yourself a cool nickname and let us know within the message if we can use your name and message on the air. If you've got a bunch to say, maybe you've got links, maybe you've got attachments, why not instead send us a good old-fashioned email? We are
the entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. No matter how short, no matter how long, we love to hear from you. Pitch us an episode, react to something you heard on the show, give us some cool recommendations for film or for fiction. Most importantly, join us here in the dark. Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com. brought to you by humans.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.